to me.
Information, news, and entertainment on demand.
WSRadio.com.
Welcome to This Week in Marketing, brought to you by the San Diego chapter of the American Marketing Association.
Good morning, San Diego marketers. You are listening to another episode of This Week in Marketing, brought to you by the American Marketing Association San Diego chapter, and of course powered by WS Radio. In the studio today, I've got Sam Wheeler, and today we're talking all about content marketing in times of crisis. Now, before we dive in, we've got a couple announcements to get through. The biggest one is to remember to sign up for the AMA webinar series. We've shifted a lot of our events online due to the current situation. We've got one tomorrow on April 15th. The webinar series is called How to Rapidly Reposition and Systematically Activate Your Brand. This will be hosted by fan favorite Frank Cowell and Brian Lisher. And they'll be presenting on how to reposition your brand, and you'll learn how to identify valuable marketing segments and align your most valuable offerings. And we'll also go over a 3-step process for companies using successful strategies to reposition their brands. Now, today's episode, like I said, is all about content marketing in times of crisis. Sam, you on the line today? How are we doing today?
Pretty good. I'm super stoked about the webinar series. We only have a few slots left, actually. There's like a 98 sign-ups as of now. So there's definitely urgency to sign up for sure. Yeah, totally.
Very cool. Yeah, I'm looking forward to it. How are things going on your end in light of the whole virus? It seems to just be getting worse every day, unfortunately.
Yeah, definitely. It's from a work-at-home perspective, it's been fine. And the biggest kind of challenge is communication for sure. As any company that doesn't typically do work from home, but we're getting by for sure.
Yeah. That's. I think a lot of what we're seeing on our end is that the initial shock of this whole quarantine and economic downturn is starting to wear away, and clients are now realizing that they need digital marketing more than ever, and they're really doubling down now, which is really good. But I think we both need to count our blessings that we're in a industry that is still very much in demand.
Totally.
Yeah.
Totally.
So I just want to dive right into the topic here. So in terms of content marketing in times of crisis, we're seeing time and time again, times of crisis are where the best brands really rise to the top and go the distance and really just make an impact in people's minds. Now, I know the COVID-19 pandemic hasn't just captured the global spotlight. It's really just become the global spotlight. And I know what we're seeing is a lot of brands are just really tweaking their content marketing plans just around the pandemic and, really just using it to get ahead, which is we're seeing a lot of really interesting approaches here. And the good news about chaos, it's as stressful as it might be, there's always tons of opportunities that come for it. And I think, every generation that's ever lived has faced these times of mass chaos. And every time it does a similar formula. It tests people on the personal, emotional, and professional level. And each time the most resilient and innovative just take the spotlight and run with it. Sam, what are some of the cool content strategies you've seen over the past couple weeks?
We've seen a lot about webinars for sure have been huge, but also, there's like this trend of personalization in communication. We've had companies that are like, literally having one-on-one conversations, and the social media teams are like bulking up essentially and responding to people's questions and answers. And, for a lot of the medium-sized companies, there's just like this personalization approach that is really taken off. If that makes sense.
Yeah, no, absolutely. I think one of my favorite examples right now is what Planet Fitness is doing, and really just a lot of gyms in general, how they're doing a lot of cool things in content marketing. I know Planet Fitness has branded these things called work-ins, obviously the opposite of workouts, where they bring in all these big-name influencers and professional athletes to host these work-ins, and they're offering them for free, which is really interesting. Obviously, they could be making a lot of money on this, but I think using the big names are going viral with it, and offering it for free. It's not much in the short term, but I think in the long term, it's going to help them out get a lot of sign-ups and memberships.
Yeah, totally.
Yeah, I think
and
that-
I also really like how companies are kind of, using this area, like you mentioned, to expand on other business areas, right? There's like a lot of, you just made a great example there with the workout classes, but there's a lot of, companies that are showing like, hey, here's a different way to use our products, right? Or here's a different thing about us that you might not have known. So it's been a really cool, seen a lot of experimentation with, how you communicate your value as a business to your existing customers in addition to finding new ones.
Right. Yeah, no, I totally agree. And I think Ahrefs right now is doing a fantastic job of that right now with, I'm not sure if they're still offering it for free, but I know for a while they were offering their Blogging for Business course for free. And to be perfectly honest, I feel like that is just content marketing at its absolute finest. Because think about it, it's like almost 5 hours of branded educational content that I think is normally around $800 or $900 for the content. And, you got to think that a lot of the existing Ahrefs customers are going to take advantage of that, and just a lot of people across the marketing world altogether. So, I mean, this is 5 hours of branded content. They're learning a bunch of new skills. And more importantly, they're learning how to get more familiar with the Ahrefs platform. So, I mean, think about it. Once this whole thing's over, who do you think a lot of those people are going to turn to for their SEO tool? Probably Ahrefs. True, they're losing money in the short term, but like the long-term gains of that could be potentially huge.
Yeah, totally. And that kind of brings, us to a good conversation topic to have, with internal management and how you're positioning your company, where, you want to look at multiple different strategies of customer acquisition too, where it's not just, hey, what new top-level revenue can we get? In the Ahrefs example that you just talked about, they're thinking about, getting email addresses, right, and getting people into their pipeline that they can remarket to at a later date when stuff kind of cools down, right? So, that's one strategy, and unfortunately not every company can be doing that, right? But you want to look at your engagement with your content marketing on a multifaceted approach, right? Where you're looking at, kind of this long-term play, in addition to the first touch revenue that you can potentially get.
Right. So what are some of the examples you're seeing on, the smaller companies doing some sort of that strategy?
So, we've seen, like I mentioned, we've seen a lot of companies start reaching out and creating content for specific users, right? Literally calling the customers, just checking in on them. That's not necessarily content marketing, obviously, but, if you have your Twitter or your social media team, creating and answering questions and, creating all of this type of interactions with different users. I mean, there's a cool opportunity to, market your company on this personalized approach through, not the traditional content marketing model, but with specifically, creating content, answering questions, that type of content, right?
Right.
So, we've seen that a lot. We've seen a lot of companies like you said, give people stuff for free. But, more importantly, it's about maintaining the relationships that you have right now with your existing customer base, right? You think about, this is not necessarily content marketing again, but you think about some of the workout, subscription platforms, right? They're just not charging any of their customers right now because they can't go anywhere, obviously, right? But, if I was still getting charged for my workout subscription, I wouldn't be using them once this is over, right? So you want to think about maintaining, not just finding new customers, but maintaining your existing customer base is very, very important in a time like this.
Oh, yeah, totally. And I actually saw a video this morning I was watching. I'm going to go ahead and call this content marketing because there was a branded video on it, or slightly branded. It might have been more of like a press release type of video, but, we're going to call it content for this purpose. So I saw a video. It was in Vietnam, a big rice farm who supplied a lot of rice to local villages, kind of out in the boonies. They are offering, they built these free rice, they called them rice ATM machines, but they were, it was just kind of like a dispenser where you can just go get a bag of rice for free during the crisis. And, I feel like, they're all the local villagers who are coming to get their rice every day. They're, people who have been doing that for their whole life, getting rice from that farm. And now it's being offered for free from these dispensers. And, people from other hill tribe villages are coming around and getting free rice during the time of crisis. And I just think, this is a perfect opportunity to really showcase your philanthropic values. And, content marketing can really be used as a platform to promote that. And I think in the long run, this is what's going to help you gain those loyal customers. I can't remember if I used this example on our last show. I probably did, but I'm going to do it again. During World War II, there was when England was getting bombed, Marks and Spencer's was a luxury clothing brand, and a lot of their stores were getting destroyed in the bombings, along with the houses and businesses of other people. And it was really just a dark time for English people all around during the bombings. And so instead of, just retreating into the shadows, going to the bunker, so to speak, and trying to wait for the thing to be over, they worked double time. They produced a ton of ration clothing. They set up soup kitchens. They set up, fundraisers to help medical personnel tend to wounded soldiers. And, they really just went the extra mile during times of war. And they even had a bunch of their own locations were destroyed in the bombing, but they still doubled down and they stayed awake, and they just stayed working for the people. And after the war was over, business was just taken to a whole new level for this company. In the 60s and 70s, they were making more money than any other point in their history. And it was just a known fact that Marks and Spencer's had gone the extra mile during the bombings. And it really worked out for them. And I think now companies, no matter how big or how small they are, this is a golden opportunity to really go the extra mile and show that you care and that your values are for the people, not just your own bottom line. And in the long run, I feel like that can be really helpful. And given the technology and platforms we have, I think content marketing can be a huge, huge asset in just getting that word out and promoting it.
Totally, I 100% agree. And then the other kind of bit too about that is, not just talking about what you think your customers need, right? I mean, it's kind of marketing 101, but it doesn't hurt to reach out and create a survey and say, hey, what are your needs? What are you worried about? How can we support you, right? And getting information from your customer base that you can use right now to help them, right? And not everybody can do this kind of huge nonprofit focused style effort, but getting a sense of, hey, what are your problems? How can we help? And then you can use that data to shape other long-term decisions about, where your product is, or how do you, position your product in your literature and that type of stuff too. So, it's a great opportunity to hit on that type of, customer research as well.
Yeah, totally. And I think as marketing agencies, I'm not sure what you've seen around, your other agencies, and I was actually thinking about it the other day, things that we as a marketing agency could do to existing and potential clients right now. I know the dime is starting to turn. Brands are realizing they need digital right now. But, in the past couple of weeks when a lot of businesses were shutting down, maybe us as marketing agencies could try and offer something for free, something to get our foot in the door. Like, for example, business is down right now. Revenue is down. Performance-based marketing is just not working right now. And so as marketing agencies, we could encourage our clients to, okay, it's time to take a step back and really maybe do some house cleaning of your digital assets. Like do an SEO audit, see what you can do with your content right now, see if you can optimize it. So I'm thinking as marketing agencies, a smart move we could do is offer our clients, free SEO audits, free content audits, something that's not super, super strenuous on our end, but, something that could really get our foot in the door. And then once this whole thing's over, things go back to normal, then we could take the conversation from there. And that's just an example of us digital agencies. I feel like there's opportunities in pretty much every industry just to use content or, use some sort of service to get your foot in the door.
Yeah, 100%.
And,
I agree.
Yeah. Because I know, right now, the short term, I'm sure you saw that I'm sure you saw that graph from Neil Patel a couple weeks ago, and just looking at the industries and their traffic and conversions growth due to COVID-19. And we're just seeing, unless you're in, finance, food, healthcare, or news, your traffic's in the toilet, your conversions just aren't happening. And I think in the short term, that's terrifying for businesses. But I think it's more important than ever right now to look at the glass as half full and understand that times of crisis are when you just shouldn't stand idle. You got to sit down and, maybe even throw out the playbook and start from scratch. But the most important thing is you shouldn't just get caught in the short-term outlooks right now. And in terms of tactics and how they're changing for companies across the board, I think it's safe to say that COVID-19 is really just changing consumer behavior across the board. And it's really just forcing companies, they have to rework their approaches. And I think the main thing we're seeing right now is, take companies like DoorDash, Uber Eats, Instacart. Like those business models are just seeing a huge renaissance right now. And, companies are realizing that they've got to take everything online. Like schools were forced to take their whole operations online within, a matter of weeks. And I think one of the biggest things we're going to see here is just remote work in general, like, things you could do from home are just going to see a huge, huge boost. I think brands need to prioritize the digital experience now more than ever. And, that's going to be the key to survival in the long run. I think a good mantra to adopt right now is either adapt or be left in the dust.
Totally. 100% agree.
Yeah. So in terms of what businesses can do right now, and content marketing has more or less, there's always been room for innovation, but now brands are forced into this new era. And like I said, I think the digital experience is going to be more important. Do you have, Sam? Do you have any ideas of any tools or strategies that companies can do and how they can plan out their digital experiences moving forward?
So I would say that, it's really important to understand, like, what your competitors are doing, right? So, there's a ton of digital tools like SEMrush and Ahrefs and Moz, and, there's like a bunch of, these third-party tools that can help you understand what your competitors are doing, which is going to be really important, too, because obviously you don't just want to copy them, but, understanding how they're winning and how they're changing is going to be very important, right? Again, business and marketing 101 there, but I would suggest like leveraging a really smart, keyword-centric approach to a lot of the, your new customer acquisition content that you're trying to create. And then, like I said earlier, for your existing customer content, just reaching out using like a survey tool like SurveyMonkey or some other. You could probably make a survey too by just a few questions you email your customers, especially if it's a smaller base, to understand what they need, right? And if, let's say, you've got 10,000 customers, create a simple survey, get those answers, and then you can just dump them into like an Ngram analyzer or some sort of data tool to understand what the trends are, to get a sense of like easy content ideas, right? And leveraging Content Explorer for Ahrefs would be really strong. I know SEMrush has a pretty good content gap, keyword gap tool that you could use. Email, which I already talked about, and then another thing that's a really cool tactic that people often forget is like mine your reviews, right? So understand where all your reviews are coming from, whether it be Yelp or Trustpilot or Better Business Bureau or whatever, and dump all that data into an Ngram analyzer, and understand how people are talking about you and what problems they have, and you can organize the data into like the sentiments. Positive, negative, neutral, and understand, where are pain points and where are people liking the products. And, that's not only be helpful in the long run, but, could be cool for, internal content creation efforts.
No, I totally agree. And, just to backtrack a little bit to keyword trends, I want to use the gym example again here. A lot of what we're seeing now in terms of content creation in regards to anything fitness related, obviously people can't go to gyms right now, so there's a huge demand for content on like at-home workouts, dieting plans, healthy recipes, X, Y, and Z. And I think that's where a lot of these fitness companies are really just capitalizing. I think just overall, when we look at this thing in the rearview mirror, I think gyms and fitness businesses are going to be one of the most interesting case studies to come out of this, because it's one of those things where people they need to work out and they obviously can't do it, so they have to find alternatives, and that's just pushing fitness brands just to the max to try and find a way around that giant roadblock of not being able to physically go to a gym. And I think we're just seeing a fascinating evolution in, how fitness businesses are transitioning to online. So I think, there's going to be a lot of that type of stuff.
I think Zoom,
to come out of this.
I think leveraging, Zoom or other types of, communication channels have really opened the door for even from the sales process too, right? I've seen a lot of companies that haven't used Zoom before using it to sell stuff they haven't done, right? They're creating sales collateral and they're, doing work differently, right? Which is what's going to have to happen moving forward, right? And I don't want to say that conferences are going to be killed. I doubt they are, but, understanding how to communicate your message when you're not face-to-face is very, very important now, obviously.
Oh, totally. Yeah, I completely agree. I think, video conferencing in general is just going to be, it's going to be the next frontier of business operations, both internally and externally. And I think we're seeing a lot of that already. I know currently my sister's a yoga instructor, and their whole, she works with a company who specializes in yoga and, holistic medicine. And, Zoom is just their go-to crutch right now to keep delivering value to customers. She's, every morning for about 4 hours, she goes and she has to go to a studio by herself, obviously, and just record these classes to keep customers engaged and, keep the offering up. And I think that's just going to be, companies are just going to have to be more prepared in general. Because what happens if something like this, if we get quarantined again, I'm already hearing talks of a second wave of coronavirus. And, who knows when the next big virus or epidemic or, I guess, pandemic will plague the world again. People need to be prepared. And, like I've been saying a lot this past week, I don't think we're ever going to go back to normal. I think we're going to go to a new normal. And, the companies that can't adjust now are going to fail moving forward. I mean, to put it bluntly, it's either, this is a sink or swim situation. And if you sit there and do nothing, you're going to sink.
Totally.
Yeah. So, Sam, I know we only have a few minutes left. I want to end on, a couple key takeaways here. I think the biggest thing, which this has kind of been an echo throughout, this whole segment here. And I think the most important thing brands need to do in content marketing is just to not pull the plug. I think that's one of the worst things you can do right now. And, I know it's tough to, keep dumping money into any sort of marketing when your revenue has just been cut in half or, even worse than half. But, like we said a million times in this episode, the brands that sit around and do nothing are going to fail moving forward. Chaos creates voids in the market. And, if you don't step up and keep filling that void, someone else is going to do it for you. And, what we're seeing just around the whole industry is content's just become super, super important, whether you're an agency, whether you're a brand, no matter what industry you're in. I think if, so like I said, just keep the brand light burning is the most important thing you can, whether that's showcasing philanthropic values, offering something free to your customers, to keep them engaged and to, really just show them that you've got your back. Because I think in the long run, if you show customers right now that you have their back, they're going to have your back in the long run.
100%. And don't forget to test out small things. You don't need to give all your money away, right? Test out small initiatives and see how people respond.
Yeah, exactly. All right, so Sam, that's going to do it for this episode of This Week in Marketing. You are listening to the AMA San Diego podcast, empowered by WS Radio, and we'll see you next time.
Can you imagine a world without children? A world where children don't play, or dream, or imagine?
At St. Jude Children's Research Hospital, we're working every day to find cures for diseases that strike down children, because we can't imagine a world without children. Can you?
Finding cures, saving children. St. Jude Children's Research Hospital. To learn how you can help, log on to our website, stjude.org.
Do you want to be a professional coach? Are you in business trying to make a real difference with people you manage or work with? Have you started a coaching practice that isn't quite getting off the ground? Get the skills you need to be a successful coach today with the Coaches Training Program from Accomplishment Coaching. The Coaches Training Program will show you how to help others focus and be more fulfilled. Whether you want to improve your company's bottom line or create a thriving coaching practice, Accomplishment Coaching can give you the distinctions and practices you need to coach others effectively today. Accomplishment Coaching has spent 6 years developing a cutting-edge coaches training program that will have you ready to coach people professionally in just 12 months, and you don't have to take time off work to do it. To find out more about the Coaches Training Program, just call 1-888-548-6813. That's 1-888-548-6813.
Tired of presentations with no impact, no inspiration, and no traction? Do dull speakers have you and your team disengaged and distracted by smartphones? Christopher McAuliffe brings energy, insights, and 2 decades of experience, delivered with punch, humor, and heart. Your team will leave energized, uplifted, and with a sense of purpose. Visit ChristopherMcAuliffe.com to bring some heat to your next speaking engagement. McAuliffe. ChristopherMcAuliffe.com.
Looking to be a successful entrepreneur? The virtual assistant industry continues to be a top choice for those looking to start their own business. The problem can be how to become a virtual assistant. Many turn to the Bible of the VA industry, the book Virtual Assistant the Series, and it's the perfect guide for office managers, executive assistants, and other administrative professionals looking to make the transition from employee to successful business owner. Go to vatheseries.com to get your copy today.
Hi, Scale listener. This is David Finkel, co-host with Jeff Hoffman of Scale Your Business. I wanted to let you know that our newest book, Scale, was just released, and to encourage you to get your copy. The book will give you 7 proven principles to grow your business and get your life back. Scale will help you work less by getting your business to produce more. Get your copy online or at your local bookseller. For more information, visit us online at scaleyourbusinesstoolkit.com.
You may have heard me brag about Progressive Medical Center and just how much they've helped me with my health. And Dr. Goli, one thing that you have helped so many people with is migraines.
Unfortunately, there are millions and millions of Americans who are suffering with migraines and headaches, and they're debilitating because it affects the quality of their life, and they cannot function properly. At Progressive, we get the root cause because we understand that migraines could be caused by nutritional deficiencies, hormonal imbalances, believe it or not, delayed food sensitivities. And once we determine what the real reason is, we put a plan of action together with medication that we get them off slowly, and we put them on an all-natural approach, and the results are amazing.
Incredible. I mean, there's so many people that can say they don't live their lives with migraines anymore thanks to Progressive Medical Center.
And that's what's exciting and rewarding to us as physicians, because we help our patients take control of their health, and that's why they're living well.
Why don't you get a hold of Progressive Medical Center today? Don't live in pain. Don't have migraines anymore. Just go to their website, progressivemedicalcenter.com.
This is your life. Live it well.
You take your smartphone almost everywhere you go. Now WSRadio.com can be there too. Search WS Radio in the Play Store for your Android devices or iTunes for Apple, and download the WS Radio application. WSRadio.com, on your phone and in your ear everywhere you go. Download the WS Radio application. Do it now. It's very easy. WSRadio.com.
Thank you for listening to WS Radio. Improve your business and your life with useful information from experts and thought leaders. WS Radio is radio with ROI.